All right, we're back. So let's do a on-the-ground review of the Virus. Now you've seen two really good videos already, hopefully, from Dana Denny and Mitch Graham, both of whom have owned their Viruses longer than I have, and they've done some really good flying already and talked about the machines, pros, cons, and I'll give you my opinion, and some of which mirrors what they have said, and maybe some of which will be a little bit different. So let's get started, huh? The Virus. First of all, I'll tell you why I bought this machine. This is my third Paramotor. I had an Air Conception Hybrid Race 130. That was my first machine. My second machine was an Air Conception Nitro 200. Both of those machines I had a really good experience with. I enjoyed them. I used them quite a bit. And the Nitro I sold just because I was ready to take a break from the sport. So I took about a year off, and in the last 3 months or so I started researching what was going to be my next Paramotor, because I was ready to get back in. And you know, things change quick in this industry, and there's been a lot of great stuff put on the market in just the last year. And so it was a really challenging choice, but I enjoyed all the research and all the information gathering. But what drew me to this machine was the first time I saw it on video. I was blown away by how awesome the damn thing looked. I mean, the ingenuity on it, and the craftsmanship and the design, and just the overall thought process that went into making this, to me, drew me immediately to want to learn more about it. And that's what I did. I started researching, and unfortunately there's not a lot of research out there. The Virus website is really something to be desired. There's not a lot of info there. A couple pictures, a couple paragraphs with info, but unfortunately not what you want to, not what you're looking for when you're trying to do research on a machine. So thankfully there was two videos online, and I was able to at least get some close-ups and rewatch and keep stopping the frame and looking at something. And then I started messaging a couple of people and asking even more in-depth questions, and that's all it really took. I think first and foremost, everybody's concerned about price, and this machine was priced in my budget. So that was checkbox one. Second checkbox was it spoke to me in a way that a lot of machines didn't. It had something that pulled you in: the design, the quality of the build, the engineering, the ingenuity. It just was almost artistic in a way, and for me that was big. I want to look at something and appreciate it if I own it. I just don't want it to sit there. And this checked that box as well. Now, one of the boxes that it didn't check was it's not super light. You've heard a couple of people talk about that already. I think with fuel and my reserve that I've got there and tools and things that I have in there, it's pushing in the high 80s easily. Is that too much? Not for me, it's not. I haven't had any issues on the ground. Haven't had any issues, moving it around, picking it up. Is it heavier than some of my previous machines? Yeah, probably by about 25 to 28 pounds when it's all said and done, I would say. So yeah, it's different, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. I find that this machine, when you pick it up, you need to get under the arm right here on both sides and lift straight up. You really don't have many other places to grab. There's nothing up here. This is it. And when you grab it with two hands, one on either side, kind of like bear hug fashion, it's easy to pick up and move around. And that's how I transport it. Pick it up, throw it on my cargo carrier on my car, and I can move it easily. So while we're here down by the arms, you've seen Mitch talk about these arms, and you've seen Dana talk about these arms. These are hybrid swing arms. They're very similar to what Scout uses on their hybrid arm. You can see that it's offset to the back. There's also some offset spacers here for torque compensation. You've already seen Mitch and Denny talk about this really ingenious locking mechanism. The swing arm, comes on and off just by utilizing this little mechanism right there. It's very simple. So if you need to access something in the back to work on it, I find that popping the swing arm off and just letting it hang gives you that extra little bit of freedom to get your arm in there, and it's really nice. The adjustability of these arms, the couple of guys that are flying the machine, I haven't seen anybody move it from the rear pin. All your adjustment is in this triangle here. And hopefully today when I look at my video, I will see that I have a really good choice in which loop I've used and my hang point is correct. It feels really good in the air for me. I did a hang check with it, but it was by myself kind of doing the selfie thing, and I believe I've got it right. So just looking in my my little mirror here when I'm flying, I look pretty good. It feels pretty good. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But talking about these arms, hybrid arms are very different when it comes to how they react when you want to compare that to a swan style arm. So the swan arm's got the big cut underneath your arm, then it comes up, you attach here, and then it goes back down. The difference obviously here is we're attached low, but we still have the midpoint where the actual riser attaches. So it acts like a little bit of both, a low and mid hang point or connection point. And the difference here with this strap is that this strap will not move when it's loaded forward like this, but it will move like this, side to side. And that's where this machine gets crazy weight shift from. So when I first took off with this machine, very first flight, I pretty much had the style that I was used to on my last machine, kind of in muscle memory, and I jumped up in the seat, moved my shoulder, moved my arm, I crossed my leg, and before I knew it, I was turning all over the place on this machine. And I was like, geez, what do I got, a wingtip caught or something else? And I wasn't sure what was going on. And what it was the weight shift. The weight shift is so impressive that just the slightest body movement or crossing your legs or shifting your shoulders and you are going to be in a turn. In today's flight, I pretty much concentrated on flying hands off and just using weight shift. And it was fantastic to have both hands free and to be able to get as much steering input as you can get with this. It's just massive amount. I would say a couple of inches when you when you move these risers opposite when you're moving around like that. Fantastic. You can really get it into a pretty decent turn. I would say a shallow spiral you can get into just by weight shifting it. If you add a little toggle to that, fantastic turning. Negative side of these arms, if you're not used to that kind of weight shift and you don't like that feeling of being super connected to your wing, getting all of the feedback that that you're going to feel from the wing and the air, then these arms are probably not for you maybe right now. They transmit a lot of feedback. So I think the term would be nervous. You'll feel it and you'll really know what's going on in the air. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Personally, I think it's a good thing. I like feedback. It reminded me of motorcycle riding. You want to feel the front end, you want to know what's going on. Well, this is the same theory. You want to feel the wing, you want to feel the wind, you want to know what's going on. You can really feel how pressurized it is. It gives you a lot of feedback, and with that you get this fantastic side-to-side movement as well to do the weight shift. You're not going to get that with a fixed point. You might get a little bit of weight shift with bars that go up and down, but you're not going to get it unless you have this. So I say 2 thumbs up for this. The manufacturer does have a trial set of swan arms that are already produced, and Dana has got a set, and he's probably going to be the first one to test them out. So this machine may have an option soon for Swan arms, and that might be something I'd look into getting just to have them and try them. But that might open the door for somebody who really likes this machine but doesn't really want these style of arms. A couple other things we could talk about on the arms. You can see the quality here. It's got aluminum structure inside, sandwich down here, and it's just pretty cool looking. Same thing for this, the spars that go out the side. Everything is a push pin, so here's a push pin. This spar comes right out. Here's your fuel, a captive gas cap, which is nice. I think I saw online today that somebody lost their gas cap through the prop. Won't happen with this one, which is fantastic. This fuel tank is obviously inside the frame, and then it opens up down here where you can actually see it. And what I've found, yes, it is a little bit challenging to see your fuel level versus a traditional style tank. But is it impossible? Yeah, I started this morning's flight with about 3/4, 7/8, and I'm down to here, and I flew just shy of 2 hours. That's pretty darn good. Pretty good. So this is also my first motor, or a Moster motor that I've had. Obviously I've had the Air Conceptions prior, and the Veterazzi 185 Moster is pretty damn awesome. It's torquey. Man, the thing's got some torque. The mid RPM punch is pretty impressive. It gets up and goes. I really like it. It's just pretty to look at too as well. It's this is the dark plus model. Plus because it's got the clutch. It's also dual start. I think it's really pretty. It fits well on this frame. It looks nice. I like the colors. It sounds good. Super reliable. It's been around a long time. I think you'll see popularity of this engine is, you know, pretty high. Reliability of this engine, pretty darn high. Availability of parts and accessories, pretty darn high. So it's got a lot of good things going for it. So I'm happy about it. How do I compare it to the last two engines that I flew? Well, honestly, I would say it's right up there, you know? I don't think that I've done anything really scientific to say I like one or the other better. I like the way this feels. I certainly like the clutch. I like the reliability, and I really like the dual start. The battery is here on this machine. Got an on-off switch that just takes the starter circuit out. You can still pull start it regardless of that switch position. Got the Veterazzi cooling shroud on there. This also has a priming bulb. It's on this side here. It's right here, and the way I've routed that, I've come up into the bottom of the boot here of the airbox or carburetor, and I've typically pumped, I don't know, 5 to 7 shots. Sometimes I'll hit the little button here, and with the electric start, it fires right up. It might tick over for all 2 or 3 seconds, and sometimes you give a little blip on the throttle and away it goes. Super reliable, super easy. I will never buy another machine that doesn't have electric start. I don't care if it adds 5 pounds or more, I am going to buy it because it's that nice. This particular machine has a Vortex Aero throttle assembly on it, and with that you can get this fuel sensor. I've got the box mounted up here, kind of hard to see, but if I turn it on you'll see red light, which means it's sensing fuel in the tank. The theory is once that fuel level comes down below here, that red light will turn off, and on the throttle assembly itself there's an LED that will light up. I'll show that to you. So the LED is right there, right here. So this throttle has also a start-stop button here, and which is an ignition switch really. The green switch is the electric start. The button on the end is the kill switch, and this has cruise control, which I used today for the first time, and I liked it. Hours on this, I've got a whopping 4.3. So as you can tell, just broken in, just getting some air time. The net on this machine is ridiculously tight. As Dana mentioned in his video, this cage splits. Half of it goes that way, half of it goes that way, and the net goes with it. I added these zip ties just to keep this neat and tidy down the center. But the way that this net tightens up is phenomenally easy. There's no springs, there's no silly gadgets involved. You can see that it's joined at the bottom here. This comes up, and all it is you stick the end of this through this slot straight down, and you pull it out to the side. So you pull it out, and when you get this net to the tightness that you want, you press it down, and it captures itself right in this hole here, or this neck. So it streamlines itself, gets tight, and it's captured. It won't move. It hasn't loosened up any. I mean, I can't believe it's that tight, and it stays that tight. There's nothing to do. So same thing on the other side. One on each side, because like I said, the net is split in half. So you do both sides, you get them as tight as you can possibly get them, and then you capture underneath the excess, and there you go. Super easy, nothing to worry about failing, no spring or cover for a spring or anything potentially to go through the prop. This machine came with the ATL lamels, which hopefully you know is the anti-torque lamel system that the designer of this machine actually designed these as well. I've got 16 on here. The machine comes with 20, and I'm actually going to add 2 more to each side of the top. So I started off just to try it with the majority of them on there, and I'm going to add the other 2. I feel like it does need it, and it does make a difference. Under power, that Moster 185 definitely has torque, and it's definitely something that you need to either weight shift out or use ATLs, and ATLs are definitely the easy answer. Slap them on, and they don't go anywhere. And what I've done, if you can see here, I've drilled each one of these and ran a small zip tie to absolutely guarantee myself that I'm never going to lose one and have it go through the prop. Same thing with the airbox. You'll notice that I've used the orange telltale to let you know if something's come loose on just about every major bolt I've done, ones that are important to me. What else can we talk about on the Virus? The Virus has wheels underneath it. You can see that it will roll super easy. The wheels are down below, right there, on each side. I think they're great. It could help save your butt in a landing if you come down with the cage in the front. And it makes it super convenient to roll it around the garage instead of picking it up. You're not going to scrape it all up and drag it. It's pretty darn nice. This machine comes with the Avasport or Avasport, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, harness. I've had Dudek harnesses prior to this. I'm going to say that this is not my utmost favorite harness. It's got a lot of straps and gizmos that you need to adjust. So this is the one that you pull down to make tight. This is the one that you release to let loose. And then you absolutely have to do these sides here and pull them tight as well. There's also a chest strap that goes across, and buckles on the bottom here, which I already have buckled up, but these buckles are so sweet. I mean, super sweet. If I could do it with one hand, it's pretty easy, right? It's it's something that I think that this harness is winning at for sure. So 2 of those and you're done. There's no crazy fiddling with something for 10 minutes. It's super easy. The seat strap has 2 pulls, one on either side to pull the seat up tighter. I've obviously got my reserve here. One of the things about this harness is that you can't put a side pocket reserve in it. So you will have to have a flight deck style reserve like I do. For me, this is the first time I flew with a flight deck reserve, and I thought that it was going to be cumbersome, get in my way, be challenging to buckle in. I was going to get things tangled up. It was going to get in the way when I landed, and it's been absolutely none of those things. In fact, it's been the exact opposite. It hasn't gotten in my way whatsoever. It doesn't pose any real challenge when I'm buckling in. It actually is quite convenient when I'm in the air because it's got this, well, flight deck, right? That's the name of it. So it's got a zipper here that you can open up, and it's got a Velcro pad. So you can throw this down and it captures itself on a Velcro. And you can put some Velcro on the back of your phone and you can sit it there and it's not going anywhere. I like that. I like it a lot. I've also got in here, I've got a line cutter that I keep in here as well. So in case I need to cut some lines, I've got something that I can grab without a whole lot of hassle. And it's there for you all the time. With either hand, you can grab this and deploy your reserve parachute. Unlike the ones that are going to be mounted on the side pocket, you obviously have to just grab that with your off throttle hand, and that's it. So this, at least you can grab lefty or righty, which is fantastic, and give it a toss. You can see I've got it routed. It goes to the outside of the arm when you're in flight, and it comes up through the harness, and just like every other, comes down the shoulders and attaches to the malleons. So I leave my machine put together. I know a lot of people like to take theirs apart. I would absolutely say that this is pretty easy to assemble. You'll notice here it's got these cam style. You lift this up, loosen this, and unthread it, and it comes off. It's one attachment point here. There's one attachment point here. There's one here. There's one here. And there's one here. That is all there is on this machine to get this cage off. There's no straps, there's no Velcro, there is nothing cheap. Everything is super strong, super robust, and built to last. These are easy to work with. They have not budged since I put them on there. And then you'll notice that these pieces, they just, on the cage piece, there's like a hook here, and it captures right around this corner. So it hooks in there, you pin it, you cam it down, and you're done. It doesn't go anywhere. The spars, like I mentioned earlier, there's a pin here. You can see the spring. You depress it, they pop out. It is just too simple. So it's 1, 2, 3 push pins, those pop out. The cams that we already talked about, take your prop off, and you're done. Super mobile, super easy. No tools required except for your 5mm Allen to get the prop off, and you've got this thing moving wherever you want it. So I think, what else can we talk about? Here's my dual start handle for manual pull start. I've tried it once just to say I tried it. It's easily reached, it's in a good spot. It's got a nice little tube here that the pull start rope runs down that tube, keeps it out of the way. The harness utilizes those same cams right here, one there and one here. And the harness can be moved to 3 different locations. There's like a high, a mid, and a low. So I've got mine set in the high. There's a mid and there's a low. And you can find out what works best for you. I'm going to leave mine there for now. It's been working really well. So it's got some adjustability built in. We already mentioned these spacers here. There's 2. You can remove those spacers, or you can even add spacers if you need to. I'm going to leave that the way it is as well. And I think that's about it for right now. Parts availability, I guess we can talk about that, right? This machine is built in Bulgaria by one man, and that one man is the designer. He did a fantastic job on this machine. It's just freaking gorgeous, isn't it? If you need parts or something like that, you need to contact him, because he's the only person who's going to get those parts for you. He's easy to get in touch with. He's a little slow to respond sometimes because he has to translate everything, but not a problem. You'll notice each of these parts has an ID number, and I mean each and every part. You'll see there's one there. He sends an extra cage piece with this machine when you first buy it. Everything else has ID numbers on it. If you need a new part, all you have to do is give him that ID number and he will get you that part. I don't have any spares for this machine except for the one cage piece. I carry some tools with me. I don't anticipate, hopefully, ever needing anything, but you know how things go. When the time comes to order some parts for it, I don't expect it'll be a problem. We talked about the fuel tank and the design of it, but I will also say ridiculously easy to put fuel in this machine. You don't have to use the siphon hose. You don't have to get out any crazy funnels. If you have a VP fuel tank, or you've got a fuel with a nozzle on it, you could pour it right in here. It's stupid easy. It's perfectly convenient. That's the way it should be. There's no reaching down below hot exhaust. There's no anything hard about getting fuel in this machine. I really, really like that a lot. It's the simple things, right? And the things that are most often overlooked that make a big difference, I think. I think that's about all I got to share with you on the virus. If you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to try to help you out and answer what I can. If I was going to go out and buy another machine today, knowing what I know in the short couple of hours that I've flown this, I would absolutely, without a doubt, I would buy this machine again. I think I've made a fantastic choice. I'm really happy with it, and I'm looking forward to just getting a lot of flight time on this thing. So that's it. That is my official review. Hopefully you watched the in-flight, and this on-the-ground review was worthy. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.